Deep within the bustling metropolis of Istanbul lies a spiritual heart beating with centuries of Christian history. The Fener Greek Orthodox Patriarchate stands as a testament to enduring faith, a direct link to the earliest days of Christianity. For many, its significance isn't merely historical, it's theological, rooted in a foundational claim that distinguishes it among Christian institutions. This claim centers on a singular, foundational event attributed to an apostle of Jesus Christ, imbuing it with a holiness few other churches can assert. The unique stature of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, as it is formally known, stems from a powerful and ancient tradition. This tradition posits its direct foundation by none other than Saint Andrew, the first called apostle of Jesus. While historical documentation for the earliest missionary activities can be scarce, this belief is a cornerstone of Orthodox identity. It is not simply a historical footnote, but a theological bedrock that grants the Patriarchate an elevated status of legitimacy and spiritual authority for millions. But who was Saint Andrew, and why is his connection so profoundly significant? Accounts from the New Testament identify Andrew as the brother of Saint Peter, and notably, the very first disciple called by Jesus Christ. His immediate response to Christ's invitation, "Come, follow me," cemented his place in sacred history. For the Orthodox Church, his pioneering spirit in accepting the call underscores his role as a foundational figure, not just in general Christian terms, but specifically for the see he is believed to have established. Following Pentecost, Christian tradition describes Saint Andrew embarking on extensive missionary journeys. Accounts from early church historians, such as Eusebius of Caesarea in his Ecclesiastical History, though written centuries later, relay traditions of Andrew's travels throughout Byzantium, Thrace, Scythia, and the Black Sea region. These accounts, while subject to scholarly debate regarding their precise historical detail, underscore the widespread belief within the early church concerning Andrew's active role in evangelizing these lands, ultimately bringing him to the city that would become Constantinople. It is to this ancient city, then known as Byzantium, that the Ecumenical Patriarchate traces its direct origins to Saint Andrew. Traditional narratives assert that Andrew visited Byzantium around 38 AD, establishing an early Christian community and appointing Stachys, one of the 70 apostles, as its first bishop. This act, according to Orthodox belief, inaugurated the continuous line of bishops that leads directly to the present-day Ecumenical Patriarch. This lineage is crucial, it's the physical, spiritual, and theological thread connecting the modern church to its apostolic inception. Why does this direct link to an apostle like Saint Andrew hold such immense weight? In Christian theology, particularly within Orthodoxy, apostolicity signifies authenticity and legitimacy. It means the Church's teachings, sacraments, and hierarchical structure are a direct continuation of those established by Jesus' apostles. A church founded by an apostle is considered a direct conduit of divine grace, untainted by later innovations. For the Ecumenical Patriarchate, its Andrew-based foundation is the ultimate validation of its spiritual authority and holiness. Beyond legitimacy, the apostolic connection imparts a profound sense of holiness. To sit in the cathedra of St. Andrew, the patriarchal throne, is to occupy a spiritual seat consecrated by an apostle. This is not merely a symbolic gesture, it signifies a direct participation in the sacred mission entrusted by Christ to his disciples. The Patriarchate is therefore seen not just as an administrative center, but as a living shrine, a place where the apostolic spirit continuously resides, making its space and its liturgy especially sacred for Orthodox Christians. Centuries after St. Andrew's initial work, the city of Byzantium underwent a dramatic transformation. In 330 AD, Emperor Constantine the Great refounded it as Nova Roma, New Rome, soon to be known as Constantinople. This elevation to the imperial capital dramatically increased the ecclesiastical importance of its bishopric. The once humble see, established by St. Andrew, now became the spiritual heart of the Roman Empire in the East. This political shift, however, did not overshadow its apostolic foundation but rather amplified its significance. The elevation of Constantinople's status was rapid. Initially a suffragan of Heraclea, the city's bishopric quickly rose through the ranks. The First Council of Constantinople in 381 AD recognized its honorary precedence after Rome. The Council of Chalcedon in 451 AD solidified its patriarchal status, making it one of the 5 ancient patriarchates, the Pentarchy. This claim was supported not just by its new imperial status, but also by the existing tradition of its apostolic origin, lending divine legitimacy to its rapidly expanding ecclesiastical authority. The Pentarchy system recognized 5 major sees of Christianity, each with significant authority. 4 of these, Rome, Alexandria, Antioch, and Jerusalem, were indisputably founded by apostles. Rome by Peter and Paul, Alexandria by Mark, disciple of Peter, Antioch by Peter, and Jerusalem by James. For Constantinople to be recognized alongside these, its own apostolic claim, rooted in St. Andrew, became essential. It provided the necessary spiritual pedigree, asserting that its prominence was not solely political, but deeply spiritual, stemming from a direct link to the apostles. Within the Pentarchy, the Patriarch of Constantinople eventually gained the title of Ecumenical Patriarch and the status of first among equals, primus inter pares, in the Orthodox communion. This honorary primacy does not grant him jurisdictional authority over other autocephalous Orthodox churches but recognizes his historical role, moral leadership, and unique position as the successor to St. Andrew. His apostolic lineage confers a unique weight to his pronouncements, positioning him as a leading voice and spiritual guide for Orthodox Christians globally, directly connected to the source of the faith. The year 1054 marked a profound rupture in Christianity, the Great Schism, which formally divided the Eastern Orthodox and Western Roman Catholic churches. While theological, cultural, and political differences contributed to the split, the Patriarchate of Constantinople, with its strong apostolic foundation, maintained its identity as the inheritor of the pure apostolic faith. Its direct link to St. Andrew affirmed its theological continuity and preserved its self-understanding as the guardian of orthodoxy, distinct from the developments in the West. Following the schism, the Ecumenical Patriarchate emphasized its role in preserving the apostolic purity of the faith as passed down from St. Andrew and the early Church Fathers. The Orthodox Church prides itself on its continuity with the early Christian tradition, avoiding innovations introduced in the West. This adherence to ancient tradition, directly traceable through its apostolic foundation, became a hallmark of its identity. It reinforced the idea that the Patriarchate was a steadfast beacon, preserving the truth exactly as the apostles received and transmitted it. In 1453, the Byzantine Empire fell to the Ottoman Turks, dramatically altering the landscape for the Patriarchate. The Hagia Sophia, once the Grand Cathedral, became a mosque. Yet, the Patriarchate itself survived. Sultan Mehmed II, recognizing the need to govern his Christian subjects, upheld the Patriarch's position as the religious and civil head of the Orthodox millet. This allowed the See of St. Andrew to continue its unbroken existence, ensuring the spiritual legacy endured even under drastically new political circumstances, a testament to its deeply embedded authority. The centuries under Ottoman rule were often challenging for the Patriarchate, marked by periods of persecution, political maneuvering, and diminished freedoms. Yet, its spiritual authority, derived from its apostolic foundation, remained paramount for its flock. The Patriarchate became the central institution around which Greek Orthodox identity coalesced. Its direct lineage from St. Andrew offered an immutable source of legitimacy and hope, providing continuity and stability for Christians enduring foreign domination, solidifying its place as a spiritual bedrock. Today, the Ecumenical Patriarchate is headquartered in the Fener district of Istanbul, a modest enclave containing the Cathedral of St. George and the patriarchal offices. This is the spiritual heart where the successor of St. Andrew resides. The contrast between the grandiosity of its historical reach and the relative humility of its physical presence in modern Istanbul is striking. Yet, it is precisely this continuity of presence in the city of its founding, unbroken from the time of St. Andrew, that lends it immense symbolic power and holiness. The 20th and 21st centuries have presented new and complex challenges for the Patriarchate. The decline of the Greek Orthodox population in Turkey, political pressures, and ongoing issues regarding religious freedoms have tested its resilience. Yet, despite these adversities, the Ecumenical Patriarchate continues to function, drawing strength from its ancient spiritual legitimacy. This ability to endure amidst contemporary difficulties is often attributed by believers to its divine origin, traced back to the enduring spirit of St. Andrew and his initial sacred act. The principle of apostolic succession is central to Orthodox theology. It asserts that the authority of bishops derives from a direct, unbroken line of consecration tracing back to the apostles themselves. For the ecumenical patriarchate, this means its current leader, Patriarch Bartholomew, holds the spiritual authority passed down through nearly 2 millennia, through St. Andrew's initial foundation. This unbroken chain ensures the validity of the sacraments and the integrity of doctrine, affirming its divine appointment and sanctifying its every liturgical act. Within the Cathedral of St. George in the Fener stands the patriarchal throne, revered as the Cathedra of St. Andrew. While not the literal physical chair used by the apostle, it represents the spiritual seat and continuous lineage. For Orthodox believers, sitting on this throne signifies embodying the apostolic mission and authority. It is a powerful symbol of the patriarch's role as the successor, not just in an administrative sense, but in directly continuing the sacred ministry initiated by the first called apostle, ensuring the Church's holiness. Further enhancing its connection to its founder, the ecumenical patriarchate possesses relics traditionally associated with St. Andrew. While the authenticity of ancient relics is a complex historical and theological discussion, their veneration profoundly reinforces the Church's identity. These relics, held in the patriarchal cathedral, serve as tangible links to the apostle, concrete reminders of the foundational holiness attributed to his presence. For the faithful, they offer a direct, physical connection to the sacred origins of their spiritual heritage. Each year on November 30th, the Orthodox Church celebrates the feast of St. Andrew. At the Ecumenical Patriarchate, this day holds special significance. It is a time of profound spiritual observance, often marked by a patriarchal divine liturgy attended by hierarchs and faithful from around the world. This annual commemoration serves as a powerful reminder of the Patriarchate's unique apostolic identity and its foundational holiness. It reaffirms the unbroken connection to the very first disciple of Christ, reinvigorating the spiritual bond. The Ecumenical Patriarchate's claim of apostolic foundation isn't merely a historical curiosity but a living theological principle. Orthodox theology emphasizes the preservation of the apostolic tradition, understood not as a static set of rules, but as the dynamic life of the Holy Spirit within the Church. The Patriarchate, therefore, sees itself as a direct heir and guardian of this living tradition, ensuring that the teachings and practices passed down from St. Andrew remain vibrant and relevant, continuously guiding the faithful in the paths of holiness. The Ecumenical Patriarchate plays a pivotal role in the global Orthodox communion. As first among equals, the Ecumenical Patriarch convenes pan-Orthodox councils, addresses inter-Orthodox disputes, and serves as a point of unity for the various autocephalous churches. This role is deeply intertwined with its apostolic heritage. Other Orthodox churches recognize its spiritual primacy, not as a juridical power, but as a special honor and responsibility flowing from its direct connection to St. Andrew, the first called, solidifying its unique place in Orthodox hierarchy. The Ecumenical Patriarchate is also a leading voice in ecumenical dialogue, fostering understanding and cooperation with other Christian denominations. Patriarch Bartholomew, in particular, has been a tireless advocate for Christian unity. His ability to engage with leaders from other traditions, from the Roman Catholic Pope to various Protestant denominations, is bolstered by the Patriarchate's unique apostolic standing. It allows him to speak not just as a contemporary leader, but as the direct successor to an apostle, lending historical weight and spiritual authority to his efforts for unity. A notable aspect of the Ecumenical Patriarchate's contemporary relevance is its robust environmental advocacy, led by Patriarch Bartholomew, known widely as the Green Patriarch. This commitment to ecological stewardship is deeply rooted in Orthodox theology, which views creation as sacred and humans as stewards. This spiritual concern for the planet emanates from the Patriarchate's foundational holiness, demonstrating how the apostolic mandate extends beyond doctrinal purity to encompass moral leadership on global issues, drawing spiritual authority from its sacred origins. Crucial to the Patriarchate's mission has been the hockey seminary, its primary theological school, located on Heybeliada Island near Istanbul. For centuries, Haki trained generations of Orthodox clergy and scholars, nurturing the apostolic tradition. Its closure by Turkish authorities in 1971 has severely impacted the Patriarchate's ability to educate its future leadership within Turkey. The ongoing struggle for its reopening highlights the Patriarchate's need to maintain its vibrant theological life, a life stemming directly from the spiritual inheritance of St. Andrew. The Ecumenical Patriarchate's emphasis on St. Andrew offers a fascinating theological contrast to the Roman Catholic Church's emphasis on St. Peter. While Rome asserts Petrine primacy, that Peter was given a unique role as head of the apostles, Constantinople highlights Andrew as the first called and Peter's brother. This is not to diminish Peter, but to underscore its own direct, equally valid apostolic foundation through Andrew, creating a distinct narrative of sacred legitimacy rooted in a different, yet equally fundamental, apostolic beginning. Constantinople was deliberately founded as the New Rome. This designation carried immense political and spiritual aspirations. However, unlike Old Rome, whose apostolic foundation by Peter and Paul was universally accepted, New Rome needed its own apostolic anchor to legitimize its rapidly ascending ecclesiastical status. The tradition of St. Andrew's founding provided this crucial spiritual weight, ensuring that Constantinople's rise was not merely an imperial decree, but also a divinely sanctioned development, solidifying its holiness in the eyes of the faithful. The Ecumenical Patriarchate acts as a vital custodian of Orthodox sacred traditions, from liturgical rites to iconographic canons and doctrinal formulations. Its continuity from the apostolic era, through St. Andrew, means these traditions are seen as faithfully preserved, direct transmissions from the early Church. This commitment to maintaining the integrity of these practices is not simply a historical adherence but a theological imperative, ensuring the worship and belief within orthodoxy remain pure and holy, as established by the apostles themselves. For centuries, the Patriarchate has not only been a religious institution but also a pivotal guardian of Greek cultural heritage, particularly for the Romaoi, Byzantine Greeks, who remained in Constantinople. During Ottoman rule and into the modern era, it preserved language, education, and social cohesion. This deep cultural intertwining with its religious mission reinforces its importance. The spiritual identity rooted in St. Andrew is inseparable from the cultural identity it has sustained, making it a holistic anchor for a community and its traditions. Living as a religious minority in a predominantly Muslim nation presents unique challenges. The Patriarchate often navigates complex political landscapes and legal restrictions. Its ability to maintain its spiritual independence and global standing, despite its diminished local flock, is remarkable. This resilience is fundamentally buttressed by its apostolic foundation. For the faithful, its very existence against such odds is a testament to divine will and the enduring power of the sacred lineage passed down from St. Andrew, providing strength beyond mere numbers. The Fener district itself is a living testament to this enduring heritage. Its narrow streets, historic houses, and the presence of the Patriarchate create a unique atmosphere, a small pocket where the echoes of Byzantine and Ottoman pasts mingle with the vibrant present of the Orthodox faith. This physical space, continually inhabited by the spiritual successors of St. Andrew, serves as a tangible reminder that the foundations laid by the apostle are not abstract concepts, but living realities that continue to shape a community and its sacred identity. The archons of the Ecumenical Patriarchate are dedicated laymen and women who volunteer their time and resources to support the Patriarchate's mission. Their loyalty and commitment are crucial, especially given the challenges faced by the Patriarchate in Turkey. This support system underscores the profound reverence for the institution and its spiritual head. For the archons, aiding the Patriarchate is an act of faith, recognizing the unique holiness and importance of an institution that stands as a direct, living link to St. Andrew and the Apostles. For Orthodox Christians globally, the Ecumenical Patriarch is often revered as a spiritual father, offering guidance, consolation, and a unifying voice. This deeply personal connection transcends administrative roles, rooted in the understanding that he occupies the sacred seat of St. Andrew. His pronouncements carry a moral weight derived from this apostolic lineage, providing spiritual direction for millions. This fatherly role is a living echo of Andrew's own initial evangelism and spiritual care for the nascent community in Byzantium. The governance of the ecumenical patriarchate rests with the Holy and Sacred Synod, composed of bishops serving under the patriarch. This conciliar structure is itself a reflection of the early Church's apostolic governance, where decisions were made collectively by the apostles. The Synod ensures the continuity of doctrine and practice, maintaining the integrity of the faith transmitted through St. Andrew. This collective decision-making, rooted in ancient models, further validates the Patriarchate's claim to apostolic authenticity and holiness, ensuring faithful adherence to tradition. As the world grapples with globalization, secularization, and interreligious tensions, the Ecumenical Patriarchate continues to define a path forward for orthodoxy. Its vision is deeply informed by its apostolic legacy. The teachings of St. Andrew, the first to follow Christ, provide a timeless compass for evangelism, spiritual renewal, and Christian witness. The Patriarchate sees its role as perpetually carrying forward the mission Andrew began, ensuring that the light of orthodoxy, ignited by the apostle, continues to shine brightly for future generations. What truly sets the Ecumenical Patriarchate apart? It is the confluence of several unique factors: its continuous physical presence in the city of its apostolic founding, its role as the first among equals in Orthodox Christianity, and above all, its direct and unbroken link to St. Andrew. No other Christian see possesses this precise combination of history, geographical rootedness, and an undisputed claim to a specific first-called apostle of Christ in the East, which collectively bestows upon it an unparalleled level of sacred authority and historical holiness. While the Ecumenical Patriarchate firmly upholds its tradition of St. Andrew's direct founding, it is important to note that specific early written records detailing Andrew's exact activities in Byzantium are sparse. Scholars rely on later hagiographical accounts and church tradition. However, within Orthodoxy, tradition itself is understood as a reliable source of truth, transmitted through centuries. The absence of specific contemporary documents does not invalidate a deeply held, ancient tradition that has shaped the Church's self-understanding and spiritual identity for millennia. For the Orthodox Church, tradition is not merely customs or historical practices, it is the living presence of the Holy Spirit in the Church, continuously guiding and preserving the faith as delivered by Christ and his apostles. The apostolic foundation through St. Andrew is thus not a distant historical fact, but a living reality, an ongoing experience of the Church's continuity with its very origins. This deep theological understanding ensures the Patriarchate's identity and holiness are perpetually renewed, anchoring it to the apostolic age. Despite its modest physical presence in Istanbul, the Ecumenical Patriarchate's spiritual influence extends far beyond its walls, touching Orthodox communities across the globe. From the Americas to Europe, Asia, and Australia, millions of Orthodox Christians look to the Ecumenical Patriarch as their spiritual leader and the inheritor of St. Andrew's sacred legacy. This global reach testifies to the enduring power of its apostolic foundation, providing spiritual guidance and preserving unity across diverse national and cultural contexts, all connected to the first called apostle. The primacy of the Ecumenical Patriarch is not a juridical authority over other autocephalous Orthodox churches, but an honorary one, a primacy of honor. This distinction is crucial. It means his leadership stems from his historical position and spiritual significance as the direct successor of St. Andrew, the first called apostle, and not from a claim of universal jurisdiction. This type of primacy, deeply respected within Orthodoxy, is rooted in the very apostolic sacredness of the see, providing a moral and spiritual leadership rather than administrative control. Today, Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, the 270th successor to St. Andrew, embodies this profound legacy. His spiritual leadership, marked by unwavering commitment to Orthodox unity, interfaith dialogue, and environmental stewardship, flows directly from the sacred trust passed down through millennia. In his person, the continuous line from the first called apostle remains vibrant and active, guiding the Church in the modern world. He is not merely a figurehead, but a living connection to the ultimate source of the Patriarchate's legitimacy and holiness. For Orthodox Christians, the history of the Ecumenical Patriarchate is not confined to academic texts or ancient chronicles. It is a living faith, actively shaping their worship, ethics, and worldview. The apostolic lineage from St. Andrew is understood as imbuing every liturgy, every sacrament, every icon with a sacred resonance, a direct connection to the divine source. This profound theological perspective elevates the Patriarchate beyond a mere historical institution to a vibrant, holy center of spiritual life, directly linked to the grace of the apostles. The symbols of the ecumenical patriarchate, the patriarchal throne, the relics, the icons depicting St. Andrew, are not mere decorations. They are potent conduits of meaning, constantly reminding the faithful of their deep roots and sacred origins. These symbols reinforce the spiritual truth of St. Andrew's founding, making the abstract concept of apostolic succession tangible and immediate. They draw the believer into a timeless connection with the apostle, imbuing the Patriarchate with a holiness that permeates its every aspect and function. The sheer longevity of the ecumenical Patriarchate, having survived empires, conquests, schisms, and modern political pressures, stands as a powerful testament to its enduring spiritual foundation. Its continuous operation in Istanbul for nearly 2 millennia is often seen by believers not merely as historical happenstance, but as evidence of divine providence. This resilience, deeply connected to its origins in St. Andrew, strengthens the conviction that its legitimacy and holiness are divinely ordained, destined to persist as a beacon of orthodoxy. In conclusion, the Ecumenical Patriarchate of Constantinople holds a singular and irreplaceable position within Christianity, fundamentally defined by its direct connection to St. Andrew. For Christians, this apostolic foundation bestows upon it an unparalleled level of theological legitimacy. It means the Patriarchate is not merely an ancient institution, but a direct, unbroken conduit of Christ's original commission to his apostles, ensuring the purity and authenticity of its faith and practices. This legitimacy is central to its authority. Furthermore, the Patriarchate's link to St. Andrew imparts a profound and inherent holiness. This isn't just about historical pride, it's about the sacred character of a place and an institution consecrated by an apostle. The cathedra, the relics, the very air of the Fener district are imbued with this holiness, inviting believers into a sacred space where the divine presence, initiated by Andrew, continues to dwell. This deep sense of holiness nurtures the spiritual lives of millions, making it a powerful spiritual magnet. The Istanbul Fener Greek Orthodox Patriarchate is more than a historical landmark, it is a living apostolic beacon. Its continuous existence, from the time of St. Andrew to the present day, affirms its unique status as a direct continuation of the earliest Christian communities. Its unwavering commitment to the Orthodox faith, guided by the legacy of the first called apostle, ensures its enduring importance for Christians worldwide. It remains a testament to faith's power to transcend time, empires, and challenges, perpetually radiating its sacred, apostolic truth. The city of Byzantium, before its imperial transformation, was a crucial crossroads for trade and culture. This strategic location made it a natural point for early Christian missionaries like St. Andrew to pass through, spreading the gospel message to diverse populations. While not initially a major center of early Christianity, its position allowed the seeds of faith, reputedly planted by Andrew, to take root in a fertile ground of cultural exchange. This quiet beginning, with an apostle's touch, foreshadowed its future spiritual prominence. The designation first called for St. Andrew carries profound theological weight in Orthodox tradition. It signifies not merely chronological order, but a special readiness and receptivity to Christ's call. This makes Andrew an archetype of discipleship. The Patriarchate, by tracing its foundation to this first called apostle, implicitly claims a heritage of primary response to Christ, an immediate and authentic reception of the gospel message. This initial purity directly contributes to its perceived holiness and authoritative standing within orthodoxy. Beyond faith, the Ecumenical Patriarchate has historically been a stronghold for the Hellenic spirit, preserving Greek language, literature, and educational traditions throughout periods of foreign rule. For centuries, it acted as the de facto national center for Greeks within the Ottoman Empire. This dual role, spiritual and cultural, cemented its importance. The resilience of the Hellenic identity in Istanbul is intrinsically linked to the Patriarchate's continued existence, an existence validated by its deep spiritual roots in St. Andrew. The early history of Christianity in Byzantium, like many early communities, was marked by persecution and the blood of martyrs. The steadfastness of these early Christians, who held fast to the faith reputedly established by St. Andrew, further sanctified the ground upon which the Patriarchate was built. The sacrifices made by those who suffered for their belief underscored the profound truth and holiness of the gospel message first brought by the Apostle, adding another layer of sacredness to the see. The Byzantine Empire, with Constantinople at its heart, produced a magnificent tradition of Christian art and architecture. Mosaics, frescoes, and grand churches like Hagia Sophia were all expressions of Orthodox theology and spirituality. This artistic legacy, developed under the spiritual guidance of the Patriarchate, is a visual testament to the vibrant faith that flowed from its apostolic foundation. The beauty and depth of Byzantine art reflect the inherent holiness believed to originate from St. Andrew's initial evangelism. Despite its fluctuating political fortunes and periods of reduced influence, the spiritual authority of the ecumenical patriarchate has consistently endured. This authority is not dependent on temporal power or political backing, but on its unique spiritual lineage. It remains the voice of orthodoxy, respected for its ancient wisdom and its direct connection to the source of Christian revelation. This enduring spiritual authority, rooted in the foundational act of St. Andrew, is what fundamentally sustains its importance. For believers, the story of the ecumenical patriarchate and St. Andrew is not merely a historical account, but a sacred narrative woven into the fabric of their faith. It transcends the empirical demands of modern historiography, touching upon the mystery of divine presence in human history. The tradition of Andrew's founding becomes a truth held by faith, vital for understanding the Patriarchate's unique spiritual mission. This blend of history and mystery is central to its profound holiness and legitimacy for millions. Saint Andrew is not only the traditional founder but also the patron saint of the ecumenical patriarchate. This patronage reinforces the deep spiritual bond. As a patron, Saint Andrew is invoked in prayers, his icon is prominent, and his example serves as an inspiration for the patriarch and the faithful. This personal relationship with the apostle underscores the living nature of the patriarchate's connection to its founder, constantly drawing spiritual strength and guidance from his holy legacy. Andrew himself met a martyr's death, crucified on an X-shaped cross, inspiring countless Christians through the ages. This spirit of sacrificial witness is intrinsically linked to the Patriarchate's identity. Its own history is punctuated by periods of suffering and persecution, yet it has persevered, drawing strength from the example of its martyred founder. This shared experience of suffering and resilience further sanctifies the see, binding it profoundly to the holiness embodied by St. Andrew. The ecumenical patriarchate played a central role in shaping Eastern Orthodoxy as a distinct theological and cultural tradition. Its leadership in the ecumenical councils and its stance during the Great Schism were pivotal. This leadership was not accidental, it was rooted in the profound legitimacy granted by its apostolic foundation. It stood as a pillar, guiding the Eastern Church, ensuring its theological integrity and identity were preserved, drawing authority from St. Andrew's foundational truth. For Greek Orthodox communities worldwide, and indeed for many within the broader Orthodox family, the ecumenical patriarchate serves as a beacon of hope and a vital anchor of identity. In an increasingly globalized and secular world, it represents continuity, tradition, and an unchanging spiritual truth. This enduring role is directly tied to its sacred origins in St. Andrew, offering a stable and holy point of reference that transcends national borders and cultural shifts, providing comfort and guidance. The Patriarchate's synodal system, where governance is shared among bishops, reflects the apostolic model of collegiality. This contrasts with more centralized forms of church governance. It underscores the belief that spiritual authority resides collectively within the Church, guided by the Holy Spirit. Saint Andrew, as one of the original apostles who acted in concert with others, embodies this collegial spirit. The Patriarchate, by maintaining this system, demonstrates fidelity to the apostolic method of leadership, preserving its foundational holiness. The ecumenical patriarchate actively engages in dialogue with other faiths, fostering mutual respect and understanding. This outreach is conducted from a position of profound spiritual confidence, derived from its ancient apostolic roots. It allows the Patriarchate to share the richness of Orthodox tradition and its understanding of universal truths, knowing its message is deeply anchored in the original revelation of Christ through St. Andrew. This confident dialogue is a hallmark of its apostolic mission in the modern world. Ultimately, the Fener Greek Orthodox Patriarchate serves as a living witness to Christ. Its unbroken chain of leadership from St. Andrew means that the very testimony of the apostles continues through its bishops, liturgies, and theological pronouncements. It is a tangible manifestation of Christ's promise that his church would endure. This continuous witness, directly linked to the first called apostle, is the ultimate source of its profound holiness and enduring importance for Christians seeking to connect with the authentic, original faith. The message of St. Andrew, the first to bring Peter to Christ, the first to respond to the call, echoes through the millennia at the Ecumenical Patriarchate. It is a message of immediate, unwavering faith and dedicated evangelism. This foundational ethos continues to inspire the Patriarchate's mission today, solidifying its place not just in history, but as a dynamic spiritual force. It's a message that reminds all Christians of the personal call to follow Christ and spread his word, just as Andrew did. Orthodox theology understands the Church as the mystical body of Christ, with Christ as its head. The Ecumenical Patriarchate, with its apostolic foundation, embodies this truth in a profound way. It is not just an organization but a living organism, infused with divine grace from its inception by St. Andrew. This mystical dimension is what makes its legitimacy and holiness transcend human understanding, connecting the earthly institution to the heavenly realm, through the unbroken chain of apostolic succession. The ultimate importance of the Ecumenical Patriarchate's apostolic foundation lies in its role in preserving the unadulterated gospel message. By tracing its origins to St. Andrew, it affirms its commitment to the original teachings of Christ and his apostles, safeguarding them from dilution or error. This custodial role, rooted in its sacred past, ensures that the authentic Christian faith remains accessible and vibrant, a pure source of spiritual truth for all who seek it, faithfully echoing Andrew's first proclamation. In a world of constant change and uncertainty, the Ecumenical Patriarchate stands as a spiritual lighthouse, guiding the faithful with the steady light of its apostolic heritage. Its foundation by St. Andrew provides an immovable anchor in the tumultuous seas of history and modernity. For millions of Orthodox Christians, it is a source of unwavering faith, a testament to God's enduring presence, and a holy place where the ancient roots of Christianity continue to flourish, offering direction and strength to all. Ultimately, the Fener Greek Orthodox Patriarchate represents the spiritual heart of a global communion, its pulse emanating from the sacred act of St. Andrew. It is a living, breathing testament to Christian continuity, apostolic fidelity, and enduring holiness. Its importance for Christians is not just historical, but deeply spiritual, providing a direct link to the foundational moments of their faith. It is a constant reminder of the personal, immediate call to follow Christ, echoing Andrew's first steps.